Hello, everyone. This is Lynette, and it's about time. I know it's Super Bowl Sunday, and some of you will catch me. A lot of you will catch me on the replay, but we have to be consistent. So I want to make sure that I'm on. It's a little later than normal, but we're here, right? We in here. All right. Praise God. Well, we're on Genesis 48 through 50, and this is about um, the death. Part of it's about the death of Jacob, and then eventually, and the blessing that he leaves behind for the 12 tribes. They're kind of named here, and then we move on from that to the death of Joseph. This is what's going to be going on. So I praise God. Good evening, Sister Felicia. Good evening, Sister Kathy. I see you all are on, not watching the big game. I wore my Georgia Tech. This is we're a Georgia Atlanta Braves family. Um, Clearly, they're not in the Atlanta Falcons family, and so we're not in the Super Bowl this Sunday. I mean, this time, but we, we're always hopeful. We have to always rep. So I've got my Georgia Tech stuff on to rep with the group. Last year, the Rams were in, and they won. But I can't sound too excited about that. All right, and not when you marry a brave and a Falcon man. So here I am, you all. All right, God bless. So here it starts off. Now it came about after these things that Joseph was told, Behold, your father is sick. Your father is sick. Oh, so now Joseph's been told that his father was sick. So he took his sons, Manasseh and Ephraim with him. Then it was told to Jacob, Behold, your son Joseph has come to you. Collected it. So Israel got itself together and set up in his bed. Then Jacob said to Joseph, God Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me. And he said to me, Behold, I will make you fruitful and numerous, and I will make you a multitude of peoples, and will give this land to your descendants after you as an everlasting possession. So he will give his descendants, he will give this land to his descendants after him as a lasting or everlasting possession. So this wasn't just going to be a short-term thing. It was going to be an everlasting possession. Now your two sons who were born to you in the land of Egypt, he's talking to Joseph now, before I came to you in Egypt are mine. So he's telling those boys are mine too. They're not just your sons. They're I know you had them with an Egyptian woman, but those sons are mine. They're part of the blessing. All right, praise the Lord. And then he says, I thought that was kind of cool. He says, now your two sons who were born to you in the land of Egypt before I came to you in Egypt are mine. Ephraim and Manasseh shall be mine, as Reuben and Simeon are. But your children that you have fathered after them shall be yours. So if you have any kids after this, they're going to be yours. I'm getting old. I'm getting sick. I'm blessing these two. These ones that you had now, they're mine. They shall be called the names of their brothers in their inheritance. So they should be called by the names of their brothers in their inheritance. Now, as for me, when I came from Padan, Rachel died to my sorrow in the land of Canaan on the journey, when there was still some distance to go to Ephrath. I buried her there on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. So Bethlehem was called Ephrath at the time. When Israel saw Joseph's sons, he said, Who are these? And Joseph said to his father, These are my sons, whom God has given to me here. So he said, Bring them to me, please, so that I may bless them. We should be blessing the children that come. We should be blessing. We should have blessings in our mouth, not just you did this bad. We should be blessing the children. They're looking to us for a blessing. We call things as though we are the seed of Abraham. We have blessings to bestow as well. God has given us we should be God has given us that opportunity. We should be blessing. Pray to God for what blessings you can bestow upon the youth that are attached to you, whether they be nephews, nieces, cousins, the baby cousins or whatever. However that works out, sons, daughters. We should be blessing our children. We should be able to bestow something upon them. That's our duty. Here we go. Now the eyes of Israel were so dim from the age that he could not see. So after you get a certain amount, I got to get to be old. You won't be. He wasn't able to see. He got to the point where he was not able to see. He was blind basically, and that's a shame. But he had seen a lot in his time. So here we go. Joseph brought them close to him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said to Joseph, I never expected to see your face, and behold, God has let me see your children as well. See, I mean, this man's still overwhelmed by the fact that he got to see his son after having seen him since he was 17, and he got to see him 20 years later, and then and now he gets to see his sons too. I get to see your sons. I got grandsons from you. This is a blessing. This man's still overwhelmed by the blessings of God. Him being given this opportunity. We should always remember how God has blessed us. It says, then Joseph took them from his knees and bowed with his face to the ground. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim with his right hand toward Israel's left, and Manasseh with his left hand toward Israel's right, and brought them close to him. But Israel reached out his right hand and placed it on the head of Ephraim, who was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's head, crossing his hands, although Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph, saying, "The God." So even though he was trying to get the younger, the older blessed. Remember, the same thing happened with Jacob and Esau. Even though he was trying to get the older blessed and give him the real blessing, the big blessing, this man crossed over and gave it to the younger one. We saw that again with Tamar's babies when they pulled themselves out. One came out and he put his hand in there, and it's still the last born. You don't have control over who God's going to bless. It is not always in the order that we think it is. We have to flow with it. Anyway, let's keep going. Then God, before whom my fathers of Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has been my shepherd all my life to this day, the angels who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the boys, and may my name live on in them, and may my name live on in them, and may my name live on in them. Wow. His name Israel, not his name Jacob. His name Israel. His name Israel. That's a cool thing. What has God renamed you that you want to live on in your children? I'm just saying, it's just wonderful. And the names of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac, and may they grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. When Joseph saw that his father placed his right hand on Ephraim's head, it displeased him, and he grasped his father's hand to move it to Ephraim's head, to Manasseh's head. And Joseph said to his father, "Not so, my father, for this one is the firstborn. Place your right hand on his head." But his father refused and said, "I know, my son, I know. He also will become a people, and he also will be great. However, this younger brother shall be greater than he, and his descendants shall become a multitude of nations." That sounds like Jacob and Esau, doesn't it? His nation has become, even though there were princes that came from Esau, Jacob has a whole nother thing going on. You can't decide who's going to be the greater. It's the same thing. This happened in this generation. The same thing, the same exact thing happened. My God, I mean, this is like deja vu, if you will, with him. He's seeing the same thing in his grandsons that happened with him. He didn't see the same things in his sons, but he saw the same things in his grandsons that happened with him. My, look at the Lord. All right. So he blessed them, saying, by you Israel pronounce blessing, saying, may God make you like Ephraim, and I can call him Ephraim, but it's so hard with me speaking Spanish. But Ephraim and Manasseh. And so he put Ephraim from before Manasseh. Then Israel said to Joseph, "Behold, I am about to die, but God will be with you and bring you back to the land of your fathers. And I give you one portion more than your brothers, which I took from the hand of the Amorite with my sword and my bow." All right, and my bow, excuse me. So he blessed him more. He blessed him more. He said, "Behold, I'm about to die, but God will be with you and bring you back to the land of your fathers." So he's going to be coming back to the land of his fathers. That's wonderful. And then he says, then we're in chapter 49. Then Jacob summoned his sons and said, "Assemble yourselves so that I may tell you what will happen to you in the days to come. Gather together and listen to sons of Jacob. And listen, sons of Jacob. Yes, listen to Israel, your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength." So he blessed. Remember this. He blessed Joseph's sons before he even got to his own. Isn't that interesting? He still had love for this boy. He blessed those boys before he even got to his own. Is the ones that came from his own loins. Is that crazy? Just throwing it out. I love the way it happens. All right. And says, "Yes, listen to Israel, your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, preeminent in dignity and preeminent in power, but uncontrollable as water. You shall not have preeminence. because you went up to your father's bed. That's Genesis 35:22. Remember when he went into his father's concubine? Although his father didn't say nothing, he didn't forget it. Know your place. You weren't supposed to do my concubine, but you went in there. So you're not going to have any preeminence. Because you went up to your father's bed, then you defiled it. He went up to my couch. You went up to my you was with my girl. How you gonna play your father? So he says, no, you're not gonna have no, you won't have any preeminence. So he has no part, he just lost his blessing because of that one thing he did. Do not let your lust of your flesh knock the blessing that you have from God out. Do not let that blow it all away. How unfortunate. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Their swords are implements of violence. Remember, that's what Simeon and Levi killed those that whole little group who defiled Dinah. Remember? He says, their swords are implements of violence. May my soul not enter into their council. May my glory not be united with their assembly. So I can't be around them. I don't be around them at all because they're too violent. For in their anger they killed men, and in their self-will they lamed oxen. You cannot in your self-will. Your will is not supposed to be about yourself. You're supposed to have self-control, not self-will. They did too much. And their wrath, he says, cursed be their anger, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I will scatter them in Jacob and disperse them among Israel. My. As for you, Judah, now, those three so far, no so good. Levi maybe, but clearly, oh boy, is out of there, right? There's nothing going on for Reuben. He's out. As for you, Judah, your brothers shall praise you. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's son shall bow down to you. Judah is a lion's club. Where's Jesus from? The lion. He's the lion of Judah, right? From the prey, my son, you have gone up. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He crouches, he lies down as a lion, and as a lion, who dares to stir him up? The scepter will not depart from Judah. It has not. It has not departed from Judah yet. Now the ruler's staff from beneath his, nor the ruler's staff, excuse me, beneath his feet, until Shiloh comes, and to him shall be the obedience of the people. All right. He ties his foal to the vine, his donkey's colt to the choice vine. Love that. Love that. It- People are going to be under submission to this to Judah, and he's going to have so much. He washes his garments in wine, and his robes in the blood of grapes. His eyes are dull from wine, and his teeth white from milk. Zebulun will reside at the seashore, and he shall be a harbor for ships, and his flank shall be towards Sidon. Issachar is a strong donkey, lying down between the sheepfolds. When he saw that a resting place was good, and that the land was pleasant, he bowed his shoulder to carry burdens, and became a slave at forced labor. So Issachar people are going to be slaves. Dan shall judge his people. Remember Daniel? As one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent in the way, a horned viper in the path that bites the horse's heels, so that its riders fall backward. For your salvation I wait, Lord. As for Gad, a band of raiders shall attack him, but he will attack at their heels. And as for Asher, his food shall be rich, and he will yield royal delicacies. Naphtali is a doe let loose. He utters beautiful words. Joseph is a fruitful branch by a spring. Its branches hang over a wall. The archers provoked him and shot at him and were hostile towards him. But his bow remained firm, and his arms were agile. So he was, even though he got shot at by his enemies, better known as his brothers, he and Potiphar's wife, he still his bow remained firm, and his arms were agile. From the hand of the mighty one of Jacob, from there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel, from the God of your father who helps you, and by the Almighty who blesses you with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lies beneath, blessings of the beast and of the womb. And the blessings of your father have surpassed the blessings of my ancestors, up to the furthest boundary of the everlasting hills. May they be on the head of Joseph, and on the top of the head of the one distinguished among his brothers. He was distinguished among his brothers. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf, though. In the morning he devours the prey, and in the evening he divides the spoils. All of these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is what their father said to them when he blessed them. He blessed them, every one, with a blessing appropriate to him. Let's make sure that the blessings that we get are appropriate to us. make sure that we are acting appropriately so we get what we're supposed to have, what we really want. Um, if God was to bless you today, what would you end up with? What would you end up with? That's if your fathers were to bless you, if your mothers were to bless you, what would you end up with? What has your work shown and your life shown that would reflect in a blessing? This is a hard pill to swallow, and for some, I'm sure we want more, but have we done enough to get that? And has our life, have the mistakes that we keep constantly making shown that we don't necessarily deserve the blessings that we want? Then he commanded them and said to them, I'm about to be gathered to my people. I'm about to die. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, in the cave that is in the field of um, Machpelah, which is opposite Mamre, in the land of Canaan, which I'm trying to turn this page, right? We stop in at which. My God, which sounds very um ominous. Which Abraham brought along with the field from Ephron the Hittite as a burial site. There they buried Abraham and his wife Sarah. There they buried Isaac and his wife Rebekah. And there I buried Leah. The field and the cave that is in it, purchased from the sons of Heth. When Jacob finished commanding his sons, he drew his feet into the bed and breathed his last, and was gathered to his people. He had set up and gathered himself enough to bless them, and then he breathed his last. My mind. May blessings be the last thing on our lips. May that be what's the last on our lips. May we not um be crying out as we enter into Sheol, as they, maybe may blessings be on our lips. May that be what we do. I do not want to, I mean, Jesus was giving people orders or blessings, if you will, too. This is your, this is your mother, and mother, this is your son. Woman, this is your son. At the end, right? He was, helping the thief to get to heaven. He was still trying to, on his last breath, he was still praying and advocating for us. He was still doing the right thing as on his last breath. Father, forgive them for they know not what they do. Those are the kind of things we want to be said of us as we pass on into the next life. This is crazy. Last chapter. Then Joseph fell on his father's face and wept over him and kissed him. I'm sure that boy was a weeping boy, wasn't he? He was weeping. Joseph commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father. So the physician embalmed Israel. For now 40 days were required for it, which is the period required for embalming. And the Egyptians wept for him 70 days. Wow, because he was their leader. He was their leader. They didn't even know him like that, but they knew of their leader. May people mourn with us because of our service to them and how good we've been. This boy was their leader, and he was not an Egyptian, and they mourned with him 70 days because he was their leader. This is just, I shouldn't be crying, but just think about, he was, they did the embalming for 40 days, and took him 40 days, and then 70 days they wept with him. That's over 2 months. That's crazy. When the days of mourning for him were past, Joseph spoke to the household of Pharaoh, saying, if now I have found favor in your sight, please speak to Pharaoh, saying, my father made me swear, saying, behold, I am about to die. In my grave, which I dug for myself in the land of Canaan, there shall you bury me. Now then, please let me go up and bury my father, then I will return. Pharaoh said, go up and bury your father as he made you swear. So Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh. And with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh. Come on now. He didn't say one of the servants of Pharaoh. All of them went. This is just how well this man was thought of. I pray that my reputation is such that people want to go and mourn with my children when I pass on. I pray that I've left such a legacy. My God, this boy. He's still, people, they're all going with him because of who he was. And not because they knew his father, because they knew him. And out of his father's loins came him. And they were mourning because he mourned. I pray that is the same for you. Oh man. And all the household of Joseph and his brothers and his father's household, they left only their little ones and their flocks and their herds in the land of Goshen. Chariots with teams of horses also went up with him, and it was a very great company. When they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond the Jordan, they mourned there with a very great and sorrowful lamentation. They cried out to the Lord, and he observed 7 days of mourning for his father, 7 more days. Now, when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning at the threshing floor of Atad, they said, "This is a grievous mourning for the Egyptians." Therefore, it was named Abel Mizram, which is beyond the Jordan. And so his sons did for him as he had commanded them. For his sons carried him to the land of Canaan and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah, opposite Mamre, which Abraham had bought along with the field as a burial site from the Ephraim, the Hittite, the Hittite. I'm sorry. And after he had buried his father, Joseph returned to Egypt, and he and his brothers and all who had gone up with him to bury his father. When Joseph's brothers had seen their father was dead, they said, "What if Joseph holds a grudge against us?" Now they still on that old stuff. They still on that old stuff. And they think that now, since dad is dead, I'm going to he's going to bring that old stuff back up. Joseph had already shown them he could have gotten them before, but because a lot of times we think people are going to react the way we would have reacted. That's the problem. That he wasn't on that. He was beyond that. He didn't need revenge. Success is a lot of times the best revenge. That I exactly what I told you I was going to do. When I told you the dream came true. You saw, you bowed down to me. You stay bowed. Can I be here? Must I be a little ratchet? You stay bowing down because y'all know who I am up in here, up and through Egypt. I am the second man. And come on now, I don't have to kill you all. What y'all on? I'm not on that anymore. I should have been on that, but I'm not on that. What good is revenge going to do me? I got to see my father. I got to see my youngest brother. My youngest brother. I'm good. You see, I'm living large. What killing you is going to do what for me? If you all hadn't done what you've done, I wouldn't be in a position that I'm in. Why would I kill you? You all are on some petty stuff. Nobody got time for that foolishness. I mean, just saying this is where they are. Um, so then this is what you shall say to Joseph: "Please forgive, I beg you, the offense of your brothers and their sins, for they did you wrong. And now please forgive the offense of the servants of the God of your father." And Joseph wept when they spoke to him. Then his brothers also came and fell down before him, and said, "Behold, we are your servants." But Joseph said to them, "Do not be afraid, for am I in God's place? As for you, you meant evil against me, but uh, God meant it for good in order to bring about this present result, to keep many people alive. So therefore, do not be afraid. I will provide for you and your little ones." So he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. I ain't on that. I ain't on that no more. If I wasn't who I am, you wouldn't be living right now. I we Egypt is a superpower, and we have fed the world because of me and what God's done through me. And if you hadn't done what you did and brought me to Egypt, I wouldn't even be able to do this. And Pops wouldn't have been able to go back to his people without a problem and see me before he died and bless my children. All this came about. You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Sometimes we have to go through in order to get to. Bruh, I'm not on that. Y'all still on, get out the past. Now Joseph stayed in Egypt, he and his father's household, and Joseph lived 110 years. He was 30 when he came into prominence, right? And he lived 80 years past that time. Joseph saw the third generation of Ephraim's sons. Also, the sons of Machir, the sons of Manasseh, were born on Joseph's knees. Joseph said to his brothers, "I am about to die, but God will assuredly take care of you and bring you up from this land to the land which he promised on oath to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob." Then Joseph made the sons of Israel swear, saying, "God will assuredly take care of you, and you shall carry my bones up from here." So Joseph died at the age of 110 years, and they embalmed him and placed him in a coffin in Egypt. So he didn't go back with his fathers. He didn't go to the cave that were the Hittites. Abraham had bought from the Hittites. He stayed here in Egypt because he was an Egyptian. He was an Egyptian citizen and he was an Egyptian ruler, and they weren't taking him back there. And that's bottom line. He didn't ask them to take him back either because he knew who he was, and that was bottom line. And so here we are. Just wanted to say this was a great beginning, the book of beginnings. We got to see the first sin, the first marriage, the first you see the first, I guess, genocide of a people. We saw God getting rid of a whole group of people because of sin too. Not just the whole world, but just a whole group of people as well with the Sodom and Gomorrah. We saw the first testing through when the servant had done nothing through our boy Job. We've seen so many firsts. We've seen the first superpower, better known as Egypt. We saw the first family brought through Noah, and with his family as well. Those three sons, all the earth was born from them. And then we've seen the first Israelites. They're that first group that God's going to be doing all the blessings from. We've seen a lot of stuff in this book, and I pray that you all are all excited about where we're going to go. We have some places to go. We're not finished. This is a blessing of God, and I thank you. This is really Super Bowl Sunday, Super Power Sunday, Death of Joseph. What's up next? Probably, I would venture to say, our boy Moses, the first deliverer. Let's see. Have a great one. You all have a blessed day. I enjoyed you. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for tuning in. It's about time. It really is. We're telling the story. It's going to be wonderful. And so, thank you all. I appreciate you. You have been a blessing. Bye bye.